Hello, I'm Goth Queen.
And I'm Mr. Red.
And today we're discussing why the Australian government is too poor to help the poor during this pandemic.
Yeah, this is the current Australian Liberal government that is extremely keen on paying to give money to the big banks.
Gina Rinehart.
To increase coal subsidies. I thought you were going to keep saying Gina Rinehart there.
Gina Rinehart. Yeah, that's fairly accurate, actually.
Yeah, to Gina Rinehart, tax breaks to the rich, and Gina Rinehart, and to Murdoch and Gina Rinehart, to make sure that they are leaving us as fucked as possible for the coming recession. Because we know how to get out of recession is to do the exact opposite of this.
Yeah.
It's to spend money on the poor. 2008, Kevin Rudd and Wayne Swan gave $900 to everyone to get us out of the recession, to stop Australia dropping into the global financial crisis that every other first world nation was suffering through.
And I think the papers, the Murdoch papers, were saying at the time, oh, they're just spending it on booze and fags, which...
Yeah, who cares? That helps the economy.
Boosts the economy anyway.
And these magazines were complaining about this frivolous debt at the time of, well, by the end of Rudd's term, just over 200 billion, unlike now when they say everything's under control at the end of 2019 when we were over 500 billion, which, if you're not sure, is more than 200 billion. And then, with the latest financial issues of COVID, they've managed to put that up an extra 200 billion in a way that will increase the chances of a recession rather than decrease.
Not to mention percentage of GDP.
Yeah. The money is going to make sure that their friends are set up for the inevitable fuck up that they're causing, not to help, well, Australia.
Yeah.
They were elected by the Murdoch media for the Murdoch media, and that's how they're going.
Or elected because of. Yeah. And thank you, Queensland.
And that's where we are. Spending money on things like intercontinental ballistic missiles because, fuck it, blowing up the poor is far more important than helping Australia.
Yeah, but I think that Murdoch owns every paper in Queensland, so I shouldn't be too harsh on Queenslanders. But for the sake of political balance, let's now speak to Mr. and Mrs. Republican Jesus.
The ultra-rich don't have enough money.
That's right, honey. As a conservative white woman, I make sure to agree with everything that conservative white men tell me to think. So I don't have one original thought in my silly little head. You're a superstar, honey. You're going places, and I'm going to tag along for the money. I mean ride. I said ride, right?
Yes, woman. Remember, taxing me is theft. It is important to remember that the ultra-rich all worked extremely hard to inherit their money. That dynasties exist because of the hard work in being rich and the natural right of richness that the rich have. If the poor wanted to get into being rich, they would work harder to inherit the money. And remember, if you support any tax on the ultra-rich and billionaires of the world, what will happen when you inherit billions of dollars? You will have to pay a fair share of tax, and that's not on. The rich should never pay their fair share of tax. It's all supposed to be on the poor. The poor didn't like it. It's their fault for being poor. So, in conclusion, I feel that the poor should be left to starve to death in the streets, while the rich should be given everything they ever want because they deserve it, because they're the rich.
I'm going to be leaving a Breitbart article in the comments just to back up that everything that my husband says is completely correct.
Rich. There we go.
Oh, definitely not the majority.
Glad the camera's there. Have you spent this whole thing just staring at me, or are you looking occasionally at the camera? I'm focusing on the camera, so I wasn't sure.
Oh. As a conservative, what?
The Liberal...
Silly little head.
Aren't you supposed to finish your speech?
Do they, honey?
No, they never think of the fuck.